Chapter 1. The sun hung lazily in the sky, casting long shadows over the quaint village of Willowbrook. It was one of those idyllic days that seemed to stretch on forever, perfect for adventure and the kind of mischief that only children could conjure. Emily Thompson, with her auburn hair tied in a messy ponytail and eyes sparkling with curiosity, sat cross-legged on her favorite patch of grass in the village square. Beside her, Max Carter, her best friend and partner in crime, fiddled with a stick, trying to carve his initials into the dirt. "Did you hear about the treasure?" Max asked, his voice tinged with excitement. He glanced up at Emily, waiting for her reaction. Emily grinned, leaning forward eagerly. "Of course I did. Mrs. Whitaker was talking about it at the bakery yesterday. She said it's hidden somewhere in the Whispering Woods." Max's eyes widened. The Whispering Woods? That's where Old Man Jenkins swears he saw ghosts. Emily shrugged nonchalantly, though she couldn't deny the thrill that ran through her at the mention of the woods. Ghosts or not, a treasure hunt sounds like fun. Besides, I bet those whispers are just the wind playing tricks. Their banter was lighthearted, filled with the kind of carefree joy that only came from spending countless summers together exploring every nook and cranny of Willowbrook. But beneath their laughter lay a shared anticipation for what lay ahead. As if on cue, Emily's mother called out from the porch of their cozy cottage across the square. "Emily, Max, lunch is ready!" Emily waved her acknowledgement before turning back to Max. "We can plan more after lunch. Meet me at the big oak tree?" Max nodded, his face splitting into a wide grin. "You got it!" They raced each other to Emily's house, their laughter trailing behind them like a melody on the breeze. After lunch, Emily found herself once again beneath the sprawling branches of the old oak tree, its leaves whispering secrets only she seemed eager to hear. Max arrived shortly after, a well-worn map clutched in his hand. "Look what I found in Dad's study," he said proudly, unfurling the map with a flourish. It was yellowed with age, edges frayed from years of handling, a testament to its many adventures. Emily's eyes lit up as she traced a finger over the faded ink lines depicting the familiar landscape of Willowbrook and its surrounding woods. "This is perfect. We'll need this if we're going to find anything in those woods." Just then, Agnes Hawthorne, the village herbalist known for her mysterious ways and ancient wisdom, appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Her presence was as much a part of Willowbrook as the cobblestone streets and the scent of fresh bread from the bakery. "Planning an adventure, are we?" Agnes's voice was soft yet commanding, each word laced with an enigmatic undertone. Emily nodded enthusiastically. "We're going to find the treasure in the Whispering Woods." Agnes chuckled, her eyes twinkling with a knowledge that seemed to transcend time itself. "Ah, the woods have many secrets. Listen carefully to their whispers. They might just guide you." Emily exchanged a glance with Max, both intrigued and slightly unnerved by Agnes's words, but curiosity quickly overshadowed any apprehension. "We will," Emily promised, determination etched on her young face. As Agnes walked away, her flowing skirts brushing against the grass like whispers themselves, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. The mysteries of the Whispering Woods beckoned, and she intended to uncover every last one. Later that evening, as twilight settled over Willowbrook and cast everything in hues of purple and gold, Emily sat by her bedroom window. She gazed out towards the dark silhouette of the woods on the horizon. Her mother's earlier warnings echoed in her mind, cautionary tales about getting lost or encountering wild animals. But Emily's adventurous spirit was undeterred. She had always believed there was more to life than what met the eye, that magic existed in places most people were too afraid to look. "Max," she whispered into the quiet room as if he were there beside her, "tomorrow we begin." With that promise lingering in the air like a spell, Emily climbed into bed, dreams filled with hidden paths and treasures waiting to be discovered. The Whispering Woods awaited, full of secrets and stories just beyond reach but never out of sight. And Emily Thompson was ready to listen to every whisper. Chapter 2. Into the Woods. The morning sun filtered through Emily's bedroom curtains, painting stripes of light across her quilt. She sprang out of bed, the thrill of adventure propelling her into action. Today was the day she and Max would venture into the Whispering Woods, a place that seemed to pulse with secrets just waiting to be uncovered. Emily dressed quickly, pulling on her favorite pair of jeans and a sturdy pair of boots, perfect for traipsing through untamed paths. She stuffed a small backpack with essentials, a flashlight, a bottle of water, some snacks, and most importantly, the map Max had found. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, a reminder to be careful, but it was excitement that hummed through her veins. Downstairs, she found her mother in the kitchen, humming softly as she prepared breakfast. The aroma of pancakes wafted through the air, but Emily's stomach was too jittery with anticipation to eat much. "Morning, sweetheart," her mother said, glancing over her shoulder with a warm smile. "Big plans today?" Emily nodded, trying to keep her tone casual. "Max and I are going to explore the woods." Her mother's smile faltered slightly. "Just remember what I said about staying safe. Those woods can be tricky." "We'll be careful, Mom," Emily promised, grabbing a pancake and wrapping it in a napkin for later. Outside, the village was slowly coming to life. The cobblestone streets echoed with the clatter of carts and the chatter of villagers starting their day. Emily made her way to the big oak tree where she and Max had agreed to meet. He was already there, bouncing on the balls of his feet with barely contained energy. "Ready?" he asked, grinning from ear to ear. "Ready," Emily confirmed, holding up the map like a talisman. Together they set off towards the edge of the village where the whispering woods began. As they walked, the familiar landscape of Willowbrook gradually gave way to the dense foliage of the forest. The air grew cooler under the canopy of leaves, and the ground was soft with fallen pine needles. The woods were alive with sound, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of birds, and an underlying murmur that seemed almost like voices. Emily shivered slightly, but pressed on, curiosity driving her forward. "Do you think we'll really find treasure?" Max asked, his voice breaking the spell of the forest. Emily shrugged, though she couldn't suppress a smile. "Who knows? But even if we don't, it'll be an adventure." They followed the map closely, tracing paths that wound deeper into the heart of the woods. The trees stood tall and imposing, their branches intertwining like fingers weaving a tapestry. Every so often, Emily would pause, feeling as if the forest was watching them with silent eyes. Suddenly, a rustling sound caught their attention. They turned to see Jake Parker and his gang emerging from behind a cluster of bushes. Jake's smirk was as sharp as ever, his confidence radiating in every step. "Well, well," Jake drawled, crossing his arms over his chest. "Looks like we're not the only ones hunting for treasure today." Max squared his shoulders defiantly beside Emily. "This isn't your woods, Jake." Jake laughed, a sound both mocking and dismissive. "No, but it's big enough for competition. Just don't get in our way." Emily felt a spark of irritation but kept her voice steady. "We won't," she said simply, refusing to rise to Jake's bait. Jake's eyes narrowed slightly before he shrugged. "Good luck then," he said, though his tone suggested anything but goodwill. As Jake and his friends pushed past them, Emily felt Max's hand on her arm, a silent gesture of solidarity that bolstered her resolve. "Don't let him get to you," Max said quietly once they were alone again. "I'm not," Emily replied, though she knew their rivalry with Jake added an unexpected layer to their quest. They continued deeper into the woods, leaving behind any thoughts of Jake and focusing instead on their surroundings. The path grew narrower and more winding, leading them past ancient trees whose bark was rough with age. Every so often they'd stop to consult the map or listen intently to the whispers that seemed to drift through the air like echoes from another time. "What do you think Agnes meant by listening to the whispers?" Max asked during one such pause. Emily considered this as she gazed around at the towering trees. "Maybe it's about paying attention to what's around us," she suggested. "The forest has been here for so long, it's bound to have stories." Max nodded thoughtfully. "Makes sense." As they walked on, Emily found herself increasingly attuned to those subtle sounds, the rustle of leaves in response to an unseen breeze, the creak of branches swaying gently overhead. It was as if the forest was indeed speaking in its own language. Eventually, they reached a small clearing where sunlight streamed down in golden beams. It felt like stepping into another world, a hidden sanctuary untouched by time. Emily paused at the edge of this clearing, taking in its serene beauty before turning back to Max with renewed determination. "We're getting closer," she said confidently. Max grinned back at her, a shared understanding passing between them without need for words. Together, they stepped forward into that sunlit space where mystery awaited just beyond reach, yet tantalizingly close, woven into every shadowed corner and whispered breeze within these ancient woods. The whispering wood shelled its secret stight, but Emily Thompson was ready not only to uncover treasures hidden beneath layers of history, but also discover truths within herself along this journey shared with friends old and new alike. A journey that would test courage while forging bonds unbreakable by rivalry or fear alike. Each step forward bringing them closer not only toward treasure sought, but also toward answers long awaited amidst these whispering trees. Answers found only when hearts listened truly. And so their adventure continued, deeper still into those mysterious depths where magic lingered always just beyond sight, yet never out of reach. Chapter 3, Secrets of the Forest. The heart of the Whispering Woods beat with an ancient rhythm, each step Emily and Max took resonating with the whispering leaves and the soft crunch of undergrowth beneath their boots. The forest was a living entity, its secrets woven into every shadow and sunbeam that filtered through the canopy above. "Emily, look at this," Max said, his voice hushed with awe as he pointed to a peculiar formation ahead. Before them stood a circle of ancient stones, weathered by time yet standing with an undeniable presence. Moss clung to their surfaces, and the air around them seemed to hum with an energy that was both inviting and enigmatic. "These must be the stones Agnes mentioned," Emily whispered, her eyes wide as she approached cautiously. The stones were arranged in a perfect circle, their surfaces etched with runes that seemed to shift and shimmer in the dappled sunlight. Emily felt a strange pull towards them, as if they were calling out to her specifically. "Do you hear that?" Max asked, his expression a mix of excitement and trepidation. Emily nodded, straining to catch the faint murmurs that drifted around them like ghostly echoes. It was as if the stones themselves were speaking in riddles, their voices a blend of wind and ancient magic. "Agnes said to listen," Emily murmured, closing her eyes to better focus on the whispers. She could feel Max's presence beside her, a comforting anchor as she let herself be enveloped by the forest's song. The whispers grew clearer, forming words that danced at the edge of comprehension. "Paths untold, secrets unfold, find the heart where stories are old." Emily opened her eyes, meeting Max's curious gaze. "I think it's a riddle," she said slowly, the pieces clicking into place in her mind. "It's telling us where to go next." Max grinned, his earlier apprehension replaced by determination. "Then let's solve it." They sat together in the circle of stones, discussing possibilities and sharing ideas. Their brainstorming was punctuated by bursts of laughter and moments of revelation, each discovery bringing them closer to unraveling the forest's mysteries. "What if the heart where stories are old is talking about a specific place?" Max suggested after a thoughtful pause, "like somewhere important in the woods." Emily considered this, her fingers tracing patterns in the dirt as she thought. Maybe there's a landmark or something that's been here forever, a place where people would gather. Their conversation was interrupted by a rustling sound from the trees behind them. They turned to see Jake Parker and his group emerging from the shadows, their expressions a mixture of annoyance and begrudging admiration. "So you found the stones too," Jake said, his tone less mocking than usual. Emily stood up, brushing dirt from her jeans. "Yeah, we did," she replied evenly. Jake's gaze flickered over the stones before settling back on Emily. "We couldn't figure out what they mean," he admitted reluctantly. For a moment there was an unspoken understanding between them, a shared respect for the challenge they faced. But just as quickly, Jake's competitive edge returned. "We'll figure it out first," he declared, though his bravado seemed more for show than genuine confidence. "Good luck," Emily said, offering a small smile that was more sincere than Jake probably expected. As Jake's group moved on, Emily and Max returned their attention to the riddle. The whispers still lingered in the air, guiding them towards answers hidden within the forest's depths. "I think we need to find something central," Emily mused aloud, "a place that's been part of these woods for a long time." Max nodded thoughtfully. "Like a really old tree or something?" Emily's eyes brightened at the suggestion. "Exactly, and maybe there's a path leading to it, a path we haven't seen yet." With renewed determination, they began searching the area around the stone circle for any sign of a hidden trail. It wasn't long before Max let out an excited whoop. Emily, over here! She hurried to where he stood at the edge of the clearing, pointing excitedly at what appeared to be an overgrown path winding deeper into the woods. This has to be it, Max said confidently. Emily nodded, feeling that familiar thrill of discovery coursing through her veins. Let's follow it! They plunged into the underbrush, their footsteps light and purposeful as they navigated the narrow trail. The whispers seemed to grow louder as they walked, an encouraging chorus urging them onward. The forest around them felt different now, more alive than ever before, as if it recognized their quest and chose to aid rather than hinder them. Every rustle of leaves and creak of branches seemed imbued with meaning, a language only those willing to listen could understand. And Emily found herself listening intently with every sense attuned to this magical place where stories lived forever, etched into stone and whispered on winds eternal. As they ventured further along this newfound path, their hearts pounding with anticipation, they knew without doubt they were drawing closer not only toward treasure sought, but also toward truths long hidden amidst these whispering trees. Truths waiting patiently for someone brave enough, curious enough, to seek them out. And so they continued, deeper still into those mysterious depths where magic lingered always just beyond sight, yet never out of reach, each step forward bringing them closer not only toward answers sought, but also toward revelations unexpected, revelations found only when hearts listened truly. And thus their adventure pressed on, undaunted by challenge or rivalry, driven ever forward by whispers beckoning softly from shadows yet unexplored. Chapter 4. Allies. The deeper they ventured into the whispering woods, the more Emily felt the weight of its secrets pressing down upon them. The forest was alive with sound, each whisper like a note in an unfinished symphony, urging them onward toward an unknown crescendo. Beside her, Max moved with a quiet determination, his eyes scanning the path ahead for any sign of the treasure they sought. Their newfound path twisted and turned through dense thickets, leading them further into the heart of the woods. Every step seemed to carry them away from the familiar world of Willowbrook and deeper into a realm where time felt suspended, held captive by the ancient trees that towered above. It was during one such twisting turn that they stumbled upon Jazz McAllister. He was perched on a fallen log, his fingers dancing over the strings of a weathered guitar. The melody he played was hauntingly beautiful, harmonizing perfectly with the natural symphony of the forest. "Hey there," Jazz greeted with a grin, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "Didn't expect to see anyone else out here." Emily exchanged a quick glance with Max before stepping forward. "We're on a treasure hunt," she explained, her curiosity piqued by this unexpected encounter. Jazz chuckled, setting his guitar aside. "Aren't we all?" he replied enigmatically. "The woods are full of treasures, if you know where to look." Max tilted his head, intrigued. "What do you mean?" Jazz leaned back, hands behind his head as he gazed up at the canopy. "I've been exploring these woods for years. There's music in every rustle of leaves, every whisper of wind. Sometimes you just have to stop and listen." Emily found herself nodding, recalling Agnes's cryptic advice. That's what we've been trying to do. Listen to the whispers. Jazz sat up, eyes bright with interest. "Then maybe I can help. I've got a knack for hearing things others might miss." With that, Jazz joined their quest, adding his unique perspective to their journey. His presence was like a burst of sunlight cutting through the forest's shadows, lifting their spirits and adding a new dynamic to their group. As they walked, Jazz shared his own theories about the treasure, weaving tales of hidden caves and forgotten legends into their conversation. His lively dialogue sparked debates and camaraderie among the trio, each contributing ideas and insights that brought them closer to unraveling the mystery. But their newfound alliance was soon tested when Jake Parker and his group reappeared, their faces set with determination and a hint of desperation. "What do you want now, Jake?" Emily asked, crossing her arms as she faced him. Jake smirked, though there was an edge to his bravado that hadn't been there before. "We heard you found something," he said, nodding toward Jazz. Jazz met Jake's gaze evenly. "Just following the music," he replied nonchalantly. The tension between the two groups crackled in the air like static electricity. Emily felt her heart pounding in her chest as she realized they were on the brink of confrontation. "Look," she said, stepping forward with a calm she didn't entirely feel. There's enough mystery here for everyone. We don't have to fight. Jake hesitated, uncertainty flickering across his face before he masked it with defiance. Maybe, he conceded grudgingly. But we're not backing down. Emily nodded, understanding that their rivalry would continue whether they liked it or not. But she also sensed a shift, a subtle change in Jake's demeanor that suggested he was beginning to question his own motives. As Jake's group retreated back into the woods, Emily turned to Max and Jazz with renewed determination. "We need to keep moving," she said firmly. They pressed on, navigating through dense underbrush and over tangled roots that threatened to trip them up at every turn. The forest seemed to close in around them, its whispers growing louder and more insistent, as if urging them towards some hidden truth waiting just beyond reach. Jazz led the way now, his musician's intuition guiding them through the labyrinthine paths with uncanny precision. Every so often he would pause, listening intently before changing direction, following an unseen trail only he could perceive. "Do you really think we'll find it?" Max asked during one such pause. Jazz grinned back at him. "I think we're getting closer," he replied cryptically. Emily felt a surge of excitement mingled with trepidation as they continued deeper in those mysterious depths where magic lingered always just beyond sight yet never out of reach. Each step forward bringing them closer not only toward answers sought, but also toward revelations unexpected. Revelations found only when hearts listened truly, and thus their adventure pressed on, undaunted by challenge or rivalry, driven ever forward by whispers beckoning softly from shadows, yet unexplored. Their journey took them through a series of natural obstacles, fallen logs that formed makeshift bridges over trickling streams, narrow ravines filled with ferns swaying gently in the breeze, sun-dappled clearings where wildflowers bloomed in vibrant profusion, all part of nature's tapestry woven into these ancient woods. And then it happened. They emerged into another clearing, a place unlike any other they had encountered so far, a place where time seemed suspended within its tranquil embrace, a place where stories whispered on winds eternal awaited those brave enough, curious enough, to seek them out. In this clearing stood an enormous tree, its trunk wide enough for all three children to stand side by side against its gnarled bark, and from its branches hung vines like emerald-green curtains swaying gently in the breeze. "This must be it," Emily breathed, the awe evident in her voice, as she gazed up at this majestic sentinel standing watch over centuries untold. Max nodded silently beside her while Jazz strummed softly on his guitar, the notes weaving seamlessly into nature's symphony surrounding them. Together they approached this ancient giant, the heart where stories were old, and there beneath its protective canopy lay answers long awaited amidst these whispering trees. Answers found only when hearts listened truly. And so their adventure continued, deeper still, into those mysterious depths where magic lingered always just beyond sight, yet never out of reach. Each step forward bringing them closer, not only toward treasure sought, but also toward truths long hidden amidst these whispering woods, truths waiting patiently for someone brave enough, curious enough, to seek them out. Chapter 5. The Heart of the Mystery. The clearing enveloped Emily, Max, and Jazz in a serene silence, punctuated only by the gentle rustling of leaves and the occasional bird call. The ancient tree at the center stood like a guardian, its roots sprawling outwards as if embracing the earth itself. The trio approached it with a mix of awe and reverence, feeling as though they were stepping into a sacred space. "This has to be the heart where stories are old," Emily said softly, her eyes tracing the intricate patterns etched into the bark. The symbols seemed to pulse with life, catching the dappled sunlight in a way that made them shimmer like hidden stars. Jazz ran his fingers over the carvings, his touch gentle and respectful. "There's something musical about this place," he murmured. "Like it's been waiting for us to play our part." Max nodded in agreement, his gaze fixed on a particular section of the tree where the carvings seemed to converge. "What do you think these mean?" he asked, gesturing to a series of interconnected spirals. Emily squinted, trying to decipher their meaning. "Maybe it's another riddle," she suggested, "or a map." As if summoned by their curiosity, Agnes Hawthorne appeared at the edge of the clearing. Her presence was as comforting as it was surprising, and she moved with an ease that suggested she was no stranger to this place. "Agnes!" Emily exclaimed, her voice tinged with both relief and excitement. Agnes smiled warmly, her eyes twinkling with that familiar knowing glint. "I see you found the old heart of the woods," she said, her voice as soothing as a lullaby. "We think it's trying to tell us something," Max explained, pointing to the carvings. Agnes approached the tree, her fingers brushing over the symbols with a gentle familiarity. "These marks hold stories from long ago," she said. "Stories of those who came before us, those who listened to the whispers and left their tales behind." Jazz looked intrigued. "So it's like a history book?" "In a way," Agnes replied, "but more than that, it's a guide, a map to understanding what truly matters." Emily felt a thrill run through her as she realized they were standing on the brink of uncovering something profound. "Can you help us read it?" she asked eagerly. Agnes nodded, her expression thoughtful. "The key lies in listening, not just with your ears, but with your heart." Together they studied the carvings, their minds working in harmony to piece together the clues hidden within. The symbols seemed to dance before their eyes, shifting and rearranging until they revealed a pattern, a path that led not just through the woods, but through time itself. As they worked, Agnes shared stories of Willowbrook's past, tales of bravery and kindness, of people who had walked these paths long before them. Her words painted vivid pictures in their minds, connecting them to a legacy that stretched back generations. "I think I've got it," Max suddenly exclaimed, his face alight with discovery. "These spirals, they're showing us where to find something important." Emily leaned closer, her excitement mirrored in Jazz's eager expression. "What is it?" she asked breathlessly. Max traced a line from one spiral to another, his finger landing on a spot near the base of the tree. "There's something here," he said confidently. With Agnes's guidance, they began to dig gently at the indicated spot, their hands moving with care and respect for what lay beneath. It wasn't long before they unearthed a small wooden box, its surface adorned with intricate carvings similar to those on the tree. Emily's heart raced as she carefully opened the box, revealing its contents. A collection of artifacts that spoke of Willowbrook's rich history, an old journal filled with handwritten entries, a locket containing a faded photograph, and a delicate silver key that glinted in the sunlight. "These belonged to those who came before us," Agnes explained softly. "Their stories are woven into the fabric of this place." Emily picked up the journal, feeling its weight in her hands, the weight of history and memory. As she flipped through its pages, she was struck by the sense of connection it offered, a bridge between past and present. "This is amazing," Jazz said, his voice filled with wonder as he examined the locket. Max held up the key, his eyes alight with curiosity. "What do you think this unlocks?" Agnes smiled enigmatically. "Perhaps that's another mystery for you to solve," she said. As they gathered around their newfound treasures, Emily felt a deep sense of fulfillment, a realization that their journey had been about more than just finding treasure. It was about understanding themselves and their place within the larger tapestry of Willowbrook's history. But even as they celebrated their discovery, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that there was more yet to come, more secrets waiting to be uncovered within these whispering woods. Her thoughts were interrupted by movement at the edge of the clearing, Jake Parker emerging from the shadows with an expression that was both hesitant and hopeful. "Emily," he began awkwardly, his usual bravado absent. I wanted to say sorry." Emily blinked in surprise at his unexpected vulnerability. "For what?" "For being such a jerk," Jake admitted reluctantly. "I guess I got so caught up in winning that I forgot why we were all out here in the first place." His admission hung in the air like an olive branch extended between them, a chance for reconciliation and understanding. "It's okay," Emily said after a moment's pause. "We all got carried away." Jake nodded gratefully, relief washing over his features as he joined their circle around the tree, their rivalry transformed into an alliance forged through shared experiences and newfound respect. As they stood together beneath that ancient canopy, friends and former adversaries alike, Emily felt certain that this was only just beginning, that there were still more stories waiting patiently amidst these whispering trees. And so ended another chapter in their adventure. An adventure marked not only by treasure sought, but also by truths discovered along paths untold. Truths found only when hearts listened truly. with Agnes's enigmatic guidance leading them ever forward into mysteries yet unexplored, and friendships forged anew amidst challenges faced together. They knew without doubt that whatever lay ahead would be met with courage unyielding. For now, they understood what truly mattered. Not simply finding treasure hidden beneath layers of history, but cherishing bonds forged through shared laughter and discovery. And so their journey continued, deeper still, into those mysterious depths where magic lingered always just beyond sight, yet never out of reach. Each step forward bringing them closer not only toward answers sought, but also toward revelations unexpected, revelations found only when hearts listened truly. And thus their adventure pressed on, undaunted by challenge or rivalry, driven ever forward by whispers beckoning softly from shadows yet unexplored. Race against time. The clearing felt like a sanctuary, a place where time seemed to pause just long enough for Emily, Max, and Jazz to catch their breath. Yet the urgency of their quest pulled at them like an invisible thread, reminding them that their adventure was far from over. The artifacts they'd uncovered beneath the ancient tree, the journal, the locket, the silver key, were pieces of a puzzle that hinted at a deeper mystery woven into the very fabric of Willowbrook. Emily carefully tucked the journal into her backpack, ensuring its safety. The weight of it was reassuring, a tangible connection to the past she was determined to understand. Max held onto the key with an air of determination, while Jazz gently closed the locket, a wistful smile playing on his lips. "We should keep moving," Emily said, breaking the reflective silence that had settled over them. Her voice carried a note of resolve, echoed by the rustling leaves above as if the forest itself agreed. Jazz nodded, slinging his guitar over his shoulder. "Agnes said this is a guide. We need to figure out where it leads." Max unfolded the map they had been following, his eyes scanning its surface for any clues that might align with their newfound discoveries. "The journal might have something," he suggested, glancing at Emily. With a nod, Emily opened the journal once more, flipping through its pages until she found a passage that caught her eye. The writing was elegant, yet hurried, as though the author had been racing against time to capture their thoughts. "Here," she said, pointing to a section where the handwriting spoke of a hidden grove and a stone archway, an entrance to something referred to as the Heart's Haven. "A stone archway," Jazz repeated thoughtfully. "That sounds like something we haven't seen yet." Emily nodded, excitement bubbling up within her. "And if it's near this hidden grove, it could be what we've been looking for." Max traced his finger along the map, aligning it with their current location. "If we head northeast from here, it should lead us there." The decision made, they set off with renewed purpose. The forest seemed to part for them as they navigated through its depths, each step bringing them closer to unraveling the secrets that lay at its heart. As they walked, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. The whispers in the woods had grown louder, more insistent, a chorus urging them forward yet warning of unseen dangers lurking just beyond sight. Their path took them through thick underbrush and over winding streams that gurgled softly underfoot. The trees loomed tall and majestic around them, their branches forming a canopy that filtered sunlight into dappled patterns on the forest floor. Suddenly, Max stopped short, his gaze fixed on something ahead. "There!" he exclaimed, pointing excitedly. Through a break in the trees stood a stone archway, weathered by time yet standing strong and resolute. It was adorned with carvings similar to those they'd seen on the ancient tree, and beneath its arch lay a path leading deeper into the forest. "This has to be it," Emily breathed, her heart pounding with anticipation. Jazz grinned, strumming a triumphant chord on his guitar. "Looks like we're on the right track." As they approached the archway, Emily felt a sense of awe wash over her, a realization that they were standing at the threshold of something extraordinary. But just as they were about to step through, a rustling sound behind them made them pause. They turned to see Jake Parker and his group emerging from the shadows once more. Jake's expression was conflicted, part defiance, part desperation. "We followed you," he admitted grudgingly. Emily met his gaze steadily. "We don't have to compete," she said softly. "There's enough mystery here for all of us." Jake hesitated, his bravado faltering as he considered her words. Then he nodded slowly, stepping forward to join their group. Together, They passed through the stone archway into what felt like another world entirely, a hidden grove bathed in golden light and filled with an air of enchantment that seemed almost tangible. At its center lay a small pond whose surface shimmered like liquid glass beneath rays of sunlight filtering through leaves above. Surrounding it were stones arranged in a circle, each one etched with runes similar to those they'd seen before, and beyond them stood another ancient tree whose trunk bore markings that matched those in Agnes's stories. "This is it," Max whispered reverently, the awe evident in his voice, as he gazed around at this magical place where stories whispered on winds eternal awaited those brave enough, curious enough to seek them out. But even as they marveled at their surroundings, taking in every detail with wide-eyed wonder, they knew there was still more work ahead if they were truly going to uncover all this place had hidden within its depths. For now came another challenge, a test not only of wit but also of character, as they faced choices that would determine not only their own fates but also those who had come before them. And so began another chapter in their adventure, an adventure marked not only by treasures sought, but also by truths discovered along paths untold, truths found only when hearts listened truly, with Agnes's enigmatic guidance leading them ever forward into mysteries yet unexplored, and friendships forged anew amidst challenges faced together. They knew without doubt that whatever lay ahead would be met with courage unyielding. For now they understood what truly mattered. Not simply finding treasure hidden beneath layers of history, but cherishing bonds forged through shared laughter and discovery. And so their journey continued, deeper still, into those mysterious depths where magic lingered always just beyond sight, yet never out of reach. Each step forward bringing them closer not only toward answers sought, but also toward revelations unexpected. Revelations found only when hearts listened truly, and thus their adventure pressed on, undaunted by challenge or rivalry, driven ever forward by whispers beckoning softly from shadows yet unexplored. As they gathered around the pond, friends and former adversaries alike, Emily felt certain that this was only just beginning, that there were still more stories waiting patiently amidst these whispering trees. And so ended another chapter in their adventure, an adventure marked not only by treasure sought but also by truths discovered along paths untold, truths found only when hearts listened truly. With Agnes's enigmatic guidance leading them ever forward into mysteries yet unexplored, and friendships forged anew amidst challenges faced together, they knew without doubt that whatever lay ahead would be met with courage unyielding. Chapter 7. Unveiling the Truth. The grove seemed to breathe with a life of its own, each rustle of leaves a gentle whisper urging Emily, Max, Jazz, and Jake toward the culmination of their journey. The air was thick with anticipation as they circled the pond, the reflections of the surrounding trees dancing on its surface like spirits come alive to witness this moment. Emily clutched the journal tightly, its pages filled with the thoughts and dreams of those who had come before them. It was a bridge to the past, a testament to the enduring magic of Willowbrook and its people. She could feel the weight of history in her hands and the promise of understanding just within reach. "Do you think this is it?" Max asked, his voice filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation as he looked around at their mystical surroundings. Emily nodded slowly, her eyes tracing the runes etched into the stones that encircled the pond. "It has to be," she replied, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her stomach. "This place, it's like it's waiting for us." Jazz strummed a soft chord on his guitar, the notes blending seamlessly with the natural symphony around them. "Feels like we've walked into a story," he said with a grin, his gaze sweeping over their enchanted surroundings. Jake stepped forward, his bravado tempered by something softer, an eagerness to be part of this unfolding tale. "So what do we do now?" he asked, glancing at Emily for guidance. She took a deep breath, letting the serenity of the grove settle her racing thoughts. "I think we need to listen," she said finally, recalling Agnes's words. "Really listen." They gathered closer, forming a circle around the pond. Emily opened the journal once more, flipping through its pages until she found an entry that seemed to resonate with their current moment, a passage about listening to the land and understanding its language. As she read aloud, her voice was carried by the gentle breeze that swept through the clearing. The Heart's Haven holds stories untold, where whispers weave tales in threads of gold. Listen with care, for here you'll find the truth that binds both heart and mind. The words hung in the air like a spell, and for a moment it felt as though time itself had paused to listen. Then, as if in response to their collective attentiveness, the surface of the pond began to ripple gently. The water shimmered with an ethereal glow, and images started to form, scenes from Willowbrook's past unfurling like a tapestry woven by unseen hands. They watched in awe as visions danced across the water. Villagers gathered around campfires sharing stories, children playing beneath the ancient trees. Agnes, as a young woman, her eyes bright with wisdom even then. "It's like watching memories," Max whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. Emily nodded, transfixed by the unfolding narrative. "It's showing us where we came from, who we are." As they continued to watch, one image stood out, a figure standing at the edge of the grove holding something aloft, an artifact much like the journal they had discovered. "That's it," Jazz said softly, "the treasure we've been looking for." But Emily realized then that the true treasure wasn't just an object. It was this connection to their roots, this understanding of their place within Willowbrook's story. "The real treasure is knowing where you belong," she said quietly, feeling a profound sense of belonging settle over her. Jake nodded slowly beside her, his earlier competitiveness replaced by gratitude for being part of something larger than himself. Together they stood in silence until the images faded away, leaving only ripples on the pond's surface and a lingering sense of peace within each of them. With newfound clarity guiding their actions, they turned back toward Agnes's stories written in stone and leaf, ready now not only to uncover answers sought, but also embrace truths revealed along paths untold. And so ended another chapter in their adventure, an adventure marked not only by treasure sought, but also by truths discovered along paths untold. Truths found only when hearts listened truly. With Agnes's enigmatic guidance leading them ever forward into mysteries yet unexplored, and friendships forged anew amidst challenges faced together, they knew without doubt that whatever lay ahead would be met with courage unyielding. For now, they understood what truly mattered. Not simply finding treasure hidden beneath layers of history, but cherishing bonds forged through shared laughter and discovery. And so their journey continued, deeper still into those mysterious depths where magic lingered always just beyond sight, yet never out of reach. Each step forward bringing them closer not only toward answers sought, but also toward revelations unexpected. Revelations found only when hearts listened truly, and thus their adventure pressed on, undaunted by challenge or rivalry, driven ever forward by whispers beckoning softly from shadows yet unexplored. As they left behind that enchanted grove, friends and former adversaries alike, Emily felt certain that this was only just beginning, that there were still more stories waiting patiently amidst these whispering trees. And so ended another chapter in their adventure. An adventure marked not only by treasure sought, but also by truths discovered along paths untold. Truths found only when hearts listened truly. With Agnes's enigmatic guidance leading them ever forward into mysteries yet unexplored, and friendships forged anew amidst challenges faced together, they knew without doubt that whatever lay ahead would be met with courage unyielding. For now they understood what truly mattered, not simply finding treasure hidden beneath layers of history, but cherishing bonds forged through shared laughter and discovery. And so their journey continued, deeper still into those mysterious depths where magic lingered always just beyond sight, yet never out of reach. Each step forward bringing them closer not only toward answers sought, but also toward revelations unexpected. Revelations found only when hearts listened truly, and thus their adventure pressed on, undaunted by challenge or rivalry, driven ever forward by whispers beckoning softly from shadows yet unexplored.